a thought occurred to me. Actually, I remembered a bunch of stuff when I was a kid. And I don't know that I fully condone the stream of horrible, grossly inappropriate language that would come out of my father's mouth while he was working on cars out behind our house. But I understand a little bit better. Hey, thanks for watching Paintucation by Kevin Tetz. We appreciate you being part of this channel. Got a question for you. Did you know that your vehicle probably has a hidden VIN number? You might know the answer to that. You might say, yes, I know my car has a hidden VIN. I did not know that one of my cars had a hidden VIN. It was my ZedSled Camaro 78Z28. And it was an eye-opening thing for me. I've been restoring cars for a long time, and I know that there's different stampings of the VINs and numbers matching, that whole thing. That means all of the VIN numbers match up. Sometimes it's on the frame, sometimes there's a VIN on the block, sometimes everything has to coincide, and it all has to be it all has to be verified as the numbers matching. That's where all that comes from. And the VIN numbers on different parts of the vehicles are for theft protection, for registration, and for identification after the sale and even after some sort of a wreck. So, long story short, I had an awakening experience, and I want to tell you about it. A while ago, me and my buddy Randy Borcherding from Paint House in Houston, Texas, hauled up Project ZedSled and Project Cetane up to the MECUM auction in Indianapolis to move them on to the next owners. We'll see what the cars do. I'm nervous, I'm excited, and I'm looking forward to the experience, the whole MECUM auction thing. I've never done it before, so it's gonna be really interesting. It's not that far of a drive from where I am, just south of Nashville. It's about a 5.5 hour drive in normal traffic, so it's not gonna take us forever to get there. It's not like a bonsai road trip to Vegas or something like that, but looking forward to showing you guys the whole process. I'm excited and I'm nervous, so cross your fingers, hope you do good. The road trip up was awesome. Me and Randy have been friends for a couple of decades, and we talked about everything under the sun, as well as the optimism of the experience of selling these vehicles and putting the funds back into my educational and training programs. So it was a pretty cool trip. It started out great, and you know, everything was possible. MECUM Indy is kind of where it all started, and they were going to sell about 3,200 cars in the course of that 10-day sale. It was pretty amazing and overwhelming, to say the least. And then we had an issue. They had flagged the car for a VIN discrepancy. During the restoration, I had moved the data plate on the cowl and replaced the rivets on the VIN tag on the dash, which apparently is some kind of felony. So we got a bit of an issue. ZedSled sitting here staging, kind of in the sin bin. They're waiting on verification for the VIN number. I've had the car for 10 years, gone through it. I moved the VIN tag on the cowl, so you resto guys, don't do that. Don't take the factory rivets out. But they're looking for an alternative VIN number. There's secret VINs all over the vehicles. So once they do the inspection, figure out that it's in fact what I say it is, then we'll be moving along. We'll place it in the parking spot, 2 stalls away from the truck. But yeah, lots of fun. Not very much stress at all. Not very much stress. Stress. Lots of stress. I'm lying. No stress. Lots of stress. So they gave us 3 options. We could either put the car back on the trailer and just give up, or we could run it with the big VIN discrepancy flag on the Jumbotron. Not a good option. Or we could find the hidden VIN. They even told us where it was. So me and Randy dug in, and we started kind of going by where they told it was, which was somewhere around the cowl, on the passenger side, maybe behind the heater box, something like that. And this thing was covered up in custom stuff. All the wires had been tucked, all the factory HVAC stuff was gone, and everything was tidy and neat. So we had a lot of disassembly to do, even to try and find where the hidden VIN might be. And although Randy's uncle had an awesome set of tools, we still had to go to Home Depot, buy a borescope to get inside all the tight recesses inside the cowling to find where the hidden VIN was. And we did. We removed part of the interior, part of the suspension, part of the firewall, and there it was, right where the factory put it. And thank the lucky stars that I never stripped the firewall or got rid of that silly thing. The MECUM inspectors, who, by the way, were awesome. They were all retired law enforcement officers from Auto Theft Task Force divisions. They gave us water, they lent us tools, jack stands, and they were literally really in our corner, hoping that we could find the VIN that matched the registration on the car and the cowling. Of course it did, and then they took a photo of it, certified it, verified it, and we were on our way. And if you want to talk about a feel-good moment, ask me about it sometime. It was amazing. All right, so this was tense. We made it happen. We found the hidden VIN number. It's back behind the heater box, got a bunch of stuff disassembled. So now we got some reassembly, but it's verified, the car's certified, and it's going on the block. Yay. Yay. May or may not be some drinks tonight. I came here to wipe the dust off the cars. There's no dust on the cars. They're just super clean. So anyway, we will all know how this ends shortly, and hopefully it ends in the best possible way, and somebody is going to get some bad to the bone custom vehicles that I don't know, part of my life, but it's good. It's all good. Talk to you later. I'm going to be real with you. That was seriously uncomfortable, and I will never ever move a VIN tag or a data plate off of a vehicle that I restore ever again. The people at MECUM were great. The retired law enforcement guys were awesome, fantastic, and very informative, but they knew their job and they knew the laws. So I'm just letting you know that I take this pretty seriously now, and it's something that I've learned and I wanted to pass on to you guys. And I don't know how exactly the garbage Camaro will end up, but I know I'm going to finish it, and I'm going to drive it, and I'm going to enjoy it. And I want to know that no matter which state I'm in or where I'm at, I can register this car, and it's going to be true, honest, and a representation of something that I can be proud of and secure and certain of. So for those reasons, I'm going to find the hidden VIN on this Camaro and document it. I'm going to make a tracing of it. I'm going to send pictures of it and keep it with the registration of this vehicle. So I know. Here's another thing. Somebody, one of your comments said, how are you going to register this car? It's a 74, and you're going to make it look like a 70. And it used to be this color, and I'm going to make it a different color. So it's not going to match the original identification numbers that came on this vehicle. I want to fully document it. Yeah, we can change the color of our car, but I want to make sure that everything's above board on this car, full communication, all that type of stuff. So that's why I'm going to verify. I know that it's up in this business somewhere. I also know that I'm going to have air conditioning in this car, but I'm not going to use the original style air conditioning. I'm a big fan of the vintage air AC units. I've used several of them in a lot of my builds, and they work great. The technology is great. They're very reliable, and for the most part, it does away with a giant HVAC blocky looking box right here. On ZedSled, I used a Detroit Speed firewall cover. The fan motor is somewhere else in the car, so I can get rid of all of this stuff and really clean up under the hood. So we're going to do a project today. We're going to search for the hidden VIN. Search of the hidden VIN. And it starts we're taking a bunch of stuff off. Besides, this gives me a really great excuse to tear this stuff down the rest of the way, which I need to do anyways. Boy, that's on there. Smarter, not harder, Kevin. What are you gonna do? I'm just gonna cut it off at the stub. He says. At least there's a bunch of antifreeze in the hose still. Well, that's good. You know, everything is off of this car completely, and it still manages to pee on my leg. And I'm not sure how much of the wiring harness I'm going to save. I'm trying not to destroy anything pulling it off. Somebody might need this stuff. It's like this HVAC box. I think it looks in pretty good shape. Do you guys know? Is this valuable? I've got some F-body Camaro guys following this build. Let me know if this is worth saving. And is it 74 specific? Oh. But I do know that like the vacuum canisters and stuff like that, all that stuff works. Well, I don't know. I guess I know, but set that on the floor. That goes on the inside. All right, so that's fine for now. I do want to get rid of that vacuum ball. That vacuum ball used to be in pretty good shape. Okay, here's a telltale sign. Look at that big glob of silicone. That might have been for a patched up leak. I don't know. It may not work, but it tastes terrible. Challenge me. Challenge me, little car. No. Let's go for that one. Right about now, you're probably thinking to yourself, that was pretty easy. And right about now, I'm second guessing everything I've just done because that seemed like it was too easy. All right, are you seeing what I'm seeing? Come a little closer. Dive in. You see that right there? That looks like a hidden VIN to me. So I'm going to write that number down, and I'm going to just do my homework right now, and I'm going to cross-reference that with the VIN number on my dash, because that's where I got busted the most. I'm going to actually take a picture of it, and that way I can blow it up and actually read it. All right, so here's the thing. The stamping may not be in the right orientation. Mine was upside down. It confused me for a second, then I had to read it. But now what I'm doing is I'll invert the phone, and I'm just going to compare. You're not going to have the complete VIN on your hidden area either for you Camaro guys, just so you know. So there's a sequence of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers that has to match, and there they are. They match. This doesn't look like it's ever been gone. Yeah, this isn't the VIN tag anyways. This is a data tag. So I'm confident 100% that I have a vehicle that hasn't been chopped up, that is what it says it is, it's honest, and now, because I have this, and I'm gonna put this away in a lockbox and make copies of it to be able to provide, just in case there's ever any questions on this vehicle as to what it is, because it's going to look like a 70 and then it's going to pop up registration. You get some street savvy cop that understands vintage iron. He's going to go, wait a minute, what'd you do? What'd you do? And I don't know. I'm not going to say I got beat up on a forum, but I got people calling me crazy for what the task force at MECUM said. And I had to take them at their word because that's what they did for a living for many years. And they were just trying to inform me and advise me. So I'm not trying to be an authority on this, but I'm just saying from now forward, in the first place, I'm not moving a VIN tag. And in the second place, I'm always going to verify. Doesn't mean we're finished because I've still got some more tearing down to do, but I'm just going to say this out loud. It would have been so easy for me to just block this off and smooth the firewall and just never ever think about it again. Let's face it, this is not the prettiest stamping in here. So to make this a smooth firewall, that would have been pretty cool and pretty sexy, but it would have eaten up this. Even if I'd used some bed liner or I like to use Raptor liner or some high build primer, could have filled that in, and I would have had a very different outcome at that auction. So I'm just saying, I'm not trying to be dramatic. I'm not trying to throw shade on anybody. I'm not trying to do anything but just talk about my experience, and it made for a good story. And we had several adult beverages that night, high-fiving and commiserating for the waste of time. But you know, it's just a thing. So. Detroit Speed has a cover that covers all of these holes, so I don't need to do any welding. I might smooth that up, I don't know. Yeah, I'm leaving that alone. All right, so before I move forward, I want to talk about the wiper motor. If yours works, this one does, save it. They can be rebuilt, but sometimes they can't be replaced. Ask me how I know. The timing on the wipers on ZedSled was never really quite perfect, so I want to reuse this one. Plus, it's got the vacuum lines for the momentary switch, I believe is what it was. But also, I'm taking a picture back in here in the wiper transmission to see how the silly thing is clocked and adjusted, because it's clocked a certain way. There's a slot that'll dictate the way that arm is. If it's 180 degrees out, that's going to be goofy. Right here, pretty important. You can see that's an adjustment. There's a little ball right there inside that sleeve, and it's adjusted for the proper throw for the windshield of this car. So I don't want to have to redo that stuff. So a little photograph is a nice way to document that. And I've got a quick reference on going back to it when I go to reassemble this car, because sometimes it's months and months later. I can see you wiggling. It's not a hammer. Yeah, yeah. Say no to me. All right, I am going to bag and tag these guys. Look at the weird shape of that. It's a lock washer, but it's a weird tulip shape. Yeah, you think I'm going to find those in a box later on? Heck no. I'm going to. There's a dead spider shell. I like that. Put these here. And save it. As well as, I know for certain I'm not going to use the wiring harness, certainly not the underhood harness, but I'm not throwing it away. I'm going to save it in a box because this plug right here, that may or may not be generic. I want to make sure that I have the plugs for this motor when I go to reassemble and go to connect my aftermarket harness with this market car. Save the stuff. All right, so I've done about as much damage as I can do out here. The rest of it is going to come out from the inside part of the HVAC box, the rest of the wiring harness, and I know I said I was not going to throw the wiring harness away, but I didn't mean that I wasn't going to cut it up, because sometimes they're just incredibly hard to harvest and not cut them up when you're impatient. So if I've played my cards right, then this box should come out fairly easily. Apparently I haven't played my cards right. Ah, what is that? Some random vacuum. What is that? Is that a vacuum? It doesn't exist anymore. It's a vacuum line. The doors open and shut. At least this isn't awkward. I remember you. That's so stupid. Ah. Okay. Me. I'm not doing that again. What is holding you in? Nothing I can see. There, perfect. Oh, it was those, it's the heater core. That's what was holding it in. All right. So I have successfully not broken the box. Someone might have beat me to it right down there. Okay, so will this come all the way out? Maybe. No. So that's the control cable. Where does it go? It goes over here. Ow, that hurt my hand. All right. Thank you for 50 years of service. Sharp thing. There we go. All right. So this is the underhood. Ow, don't do that. Harness. Can feed out of here. No. No. Can it come through the other way? Where does that go? It would be so simple. I divorce you from your car. At least it's not an awkward position to get in. If there was anybody behind me, I would apologize to them. You ever find yourself in the most awkward body position possible, feeling completely vulnerable? And by vulnerable, I mean from the back end, while you're working on something, and the dashboard of a car is shoved up into your diaphragm, and you wonder what in the F I did to get myself into this position. All the time begging to take a flat screwdriver and put a hole in the palm of my hand. I don't want to talk to you right now. Go away. We're replacing all of this anyway. So that goes away. They make that. So look up in here in this business here. That looks like accident damage. That's how careful they were on that stamping. Isn't that nice? So if I do anything, I mean, obviously you can see that from the outside. If I do anything, I'm going to replace that part with a nice looking piece of sheet metal, because that looks terrible. So some of you guys out there in Camaro land, this is the color primer that is on this car. And I know from the forums at nastyz28.com that different primers mean different assembly plants. Maybe you could, somebody throw a comment and let me know where this car was built, where it was born. Oh my God. Oh, look, I have been missing that Phillips screwdriver for 2 months. I'm so happy. Okay, it's the little things, right? And just in case you don't think the universe talks to us every once in a while, screwdriver that I just found happens to be the perfect size for the antenna port for the windshield, and it's Phillips head. Huh. Don't tell me there's no life on Mars. That's not really the universe talking to me. That might be the solar system talking to me, but I digress. All right, so there's that. I'm going to save that. We are getting closer. I want a naked car. We're closer. Going back in. Watch the hole. I said hole. All right, so there's the main wiring harness and the fuse block. Let me just tell you, this has been violated. And while I was tearing this stuff out of there, a thought occurred to me. Actually, I remembered a bunch of stuff from when I was a kid. And I don't know that I fully condone the stream of horrible, grossly inappropriate language that would come out of my father's mouth while he was working on cars out behind our house. But I understand a little bit better. So, Dad, you get a hall pass for that stuff. Anyway, I'm going to put that back up there. So this is all in pretty good shape. We knew that. We straightened the floor out. I'm going to save all this important stuff because these are super long and kind of hard to find. And I'm going to call this a win right in here, which brings me to the juncture of the shifter. And the only other thing I want to do up in this business is I'm going to pull this shifter out and I'm going to drill these rivets out, and we're going to learn once and for all if that is a factory shift tunnel. So, of course, it's a factory shift tunnel. We're going to learn once and for all if that is a factory standard shift tunnel. Because you can see the rivets here. General Motors did not do that. Somebody's put a plate over top of that and converted it to an automatic. My suspicion all along is that this is a standard shift car, and that's my story. I'm sticking to it. And since this is decidedly not an OE setup, I've got to lock the bottom side with vice grip pliers because the nuts are floating. I said floating nuts. Ooh. That one didn't take. That one did. What I've done here is locked vice grips on the nuts on the bottom because obviously somebody's done that, so I got to go back. I'm going in. Go back underneath, lock in some more vice grips. Try this one again. Uh-huh. Nope, stepped on a duck. Wow, ouch, that hurt. Rid of those guys. All right. Oh, one more. Dang it. It's fighting me. It's fighting me. You ready? You ready for this? So, if this is a factory 4-speed car, there would be a stamped place for the shifter to be mounted and stuff like that. And if it was an automatic car, then there's just a hole for the shifter. So, yeah. Oh boy. Oh, wow. That is horrible. What is going on? What? Who does that? Look. What? I don't know. It looks like somebody chewed that hole in there. Cut it out with an oxyacetylene torch, I believe. So I don't know, man. I'm going to do a little bit more numbers researching on this car. I don't care. I think I want it to be a 5-speed. Ever since that TKX transmission came out, I've wanted to try one, and I think that behind some sort of a Chevrolet V8 would be good. But I've got to say, I'm very disappointed in that mess right there. In the first place, I don't have a transmission tunnel. I might have to buy a tunnel. Maybe get some flat 16 gauge and roll it out. I don't know what I'm going to do right there. So anyway, yeah, okay. But okay, let's look for a win here. Look at this. Look at this business up in here. Our balloon assembly is in good shape. We took the wrinkle out that was the cause of the buckle in the dash. All of that mess is nice and rust free. I like it. The toe boards are good also, except for right in there, which I've got a bead roller. I can make that panel. That's relatively easy. I can buy that whole firewall and it comes down to right here. But I don't need the whole firewall. I just need a piece off of it. So we'll probably just fab that. And that sounds cool, doesn't it? I can say I fabbed that. Anyway, I'm going to clean up a little bit, have me a tool party, and think about life. Now, with that said, there is still a boatload of work to do on this car. You guys know that, and you probably don't want to watch me pull each panel off 11 times while I get it ready for the perfect fit, which I'm actually looking forward to. This is kind of therapeutic to me, but there's a lot of work to do. Now, we're going to include you on all of the important stuff, especially when we start to the point of welding it in and getting the panels solidified and even the front end to give this thing that 1970 look that I'm so stoked about, and I think you guys are pretty curious about too. But here's the real deal. There's an OBS truck over at the other shop. It's ZedSled with a pickup bed. It's Derek's 94 Chevy, and there's a lot of work to do on it as well. We've got some really cool stuff happening. We've got most of it dropped down onto a nice Ride Tech suspension, giving it a good street truck look. We got the wide wheel tubs. You're gonna love the bed treatment for it. And here's the other reality is we've both committed to an event that we've got to get this truck finished for. And I'm behind on the paint job. I'm going to walk you through that process. I'm going to bring you in on these episodes, and we'll have some cold snacks with Derek at some point. But there's a lot of work to do on that as well. So we're going to back off on the Camaro for a while and focus on Derek's black truck. And I'm just here to tell you, you're going to love what we have to show you on it. I'm so excited about it. So thank you for watching this channel. Thank you for being a part of this, and we'll see you on the next episode.